Hello and welcome everybody, my name's Ryan, the official host here at Reddit Voice, and today we're going to be looking at some of the top stories from r/NuclearRevenge. Before we do though, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to stay up to date on all the latest videos. Evil Stepfather, TLDR at the bottom. When I was 15, my mom started dating a man she met on a dating website. I didn't like him the first time I met him, and 2 months later, he moved into the house. About 3 weeks after he moved in, he took my skateboards, self-built halfpipe, ramps, BMX bike, ice hockey gear, and many other things to dump one day when I was at school. He said he did this because he didn't want all of my crap cluttering up his garage. Maybe 2 months later, he punched me in the stomach for the first time because I got up from the dinner table without asking to be excused. From there, it has turned into full-fledged beatdowns for the smallest perceived slight to his authority. One day, he decided to take my extensive Pokemon card collection, even more extensive comic collection, my Game Boy and PS2 with all the games, my fantasy and sci-fi book collection, and get rid of all of it because 15-year-old boys should be playing with football and baseball, not being a nerd playing with Pokemon cards and reading comic books. I would like to add that he was a middle school teacher and in his off time refereed and umpired local middle and high school sports games. My mom never intervened and in fact acquiesced when he demanded that she stop giving me lunch money because the little shit will just spend it on comics and other such things. One day, I took maybe $3 in change out of his change jar so I could buy a slice of pizza and some fruit punch during lunch at school, because I was tired of being hungry. My twin sister was always a bit of an a-hole and frequently blackmailed me into doing her chores from a young age. I was fed up and refused to do something, so she told him what I had done. The man actually called the police and pressed a larceny charge against me, and once the police had left, he beat me senseless. At this point, I ran away, and when the cops found me and returned me to my home, I found out that he was trying to talk my mom into sending me away to military school or something of that nature. I ran away again, and between having run away several times and the larceny charge, ended up turning 16 in juvenile detention. I spent the next couple years miserable and afraid, frequently contemplating suicide. Once I left home, I didn't speak to my mom for several years. We eventually reconciled, and by that point, they had married. I was a lot bigger than I had been as a young teenager and had gotten into weightlifting, so he no longer acted like he was going to punch me to make me flinch. Much less actually hit me, and we basically avoided each other for the most part. My mother found out that she had stage 4 cancer and no longer wanted to waste any of the time she had left with him. So she had a lawyer draft up a separation agreement whereby he would receive a set amount of money upon separation, and would have 45 days to retrieve his belongings from the house. He had spent his entire inheritance in 6 months and then had to sell his mother's house that he grew up in order to settle his debts shortly before they started dating. Oh, and my mother bought the house back from the banking before they married. She allowed him to keep the house and moved back into his mother's house. My mother passed away about 9 months after their separation, and despite the agreement, has been allowing him to come and get his stuff piecemeal. I put an immediate end to that. I sold his baseball card collection, around $14K, and his autographed sports memorabilia, roughly $11K, and also sold all of his woodworking equipment along with several finished pieces of furniture that he had made, $6,500 I think. I kept his mother's engagement ring, platinum band, 3 diamonds, roughly 2 carats, wedding band, his coin collection, because I also collect coins, and some tools and other odds and ends. Around a month ago, I ran into him at the grocery store. I told him what I had done as he was pushing his cart towards his car, and he took a swing at me multiple times. Several of these punches missed, and the ones that connected didn't have much of an effect because he's nowhere near as strong as he was 20 years ago in his 40s. And I, no longer a skinny 15-year-old, continued to try and punch me as I called 911 and was actively ramming his grocery cart into my new Toyota, and as the police officers pulled into the parking lot. He was arrested for assault, communicating threats, and destruction of property. As a result, he lost his job and pension at the local middle school, and because he had never learned how to save money while married to my somewhat wealthy mother, ended up having to sell his mother's house because he hired an expensive lawyer thinking he could somehow beat the charges. My nephew, who was on the football team, made it well known to his friends that he not only had just been arrested and convicted of assault as well as other charges, but that he had also beat me as a child, caused several parents to call for him to resign from refereeing and umpiring from local sports games. My niece and my girlfriend's much younger sister are enrolled at the middle school where he worked, and say that he was not only universally disliked, but when he came up to the school to get his belongings, he made a big scene and ended up hysterically crying as he was leaving. At least that's what they've heard from the kids who were attending summer school at the time. His son, who he was equally abusive towards as a child, refused to take him in or help him out, so we ended up having to take a job as a cashier at Walmart so that he could afford the rent on his crappy little trailer in an awful neighborhood. Even though that Walmart's not the closest Walmart to my house, that is now the only place where I go grocery shopping or purchase anything I need. I purposefully stand in line longer than I need to just so he can be the one who has the pleasure of ringing up my purchases. The first time I went through this line, he attempted to ring up multiple items more than one time to overcharge me, and when I called him out on it, he said that I was mistaken. I asked for a manager, and the manager believed him that it was an accident, but he learned that he can't get away with that. The second time, I made sure to be as nice as possible, and how to ask for a manager because he was overwhelmingly rude. The people in line behind me backed me up, and he got in some trouble for that. Every time I go there and step into line, I see him die a little bit inside, and it may be petty, but it gives me such satisfaction. Sometimes I'll say I'm paying with exact change as I'm about to hand him the money. I'll say, "Oh, I didn't realize I had rare coin from his collection in my pocket. Guess I'll pay cash." I just sold his expensive ratcheting wrench set, and so on Monday, when he works again, I'm gonna buy my daughter one of their better above-ground pools. And as he's ringing it out to tell him, I know that daughter is just going to love this pool. It's not like I would have ever used those expensive ratcheting wrenches anyway. TLDR, a-hole stepfather gets rid of all my prized possessions as a child and beat the crap out of me regularly. I ended up getting all of his prized possessions and selling most of them, and when I told him, he tried to assault me in public, which resulted in criminal charges, losing his job, and his house. Now I get to see him all the time and rub his nose in it. I got my homophobic bullying coworker fired with a mysterious package. Firstly, I'd like to start by saying I'm in no way homophobic. I respect everyone's choices, and I still don't understand why people have such a problem with others being gay. When I was 18, I used to work in a small factory for an engineering firm as an apprentice and had to work with this real piece of shit. Let's call him Kevin. For some reason, Kevin would find great joy by picking on me all the time at work. He would wait until it was just me and him alone and then call me out for being gay. Note, I am not gay and had a girlfriend at the time. However, that didn't matter to him. He would stroll right over to my desk and call me every awful name under the book. A lot of them are listed here in the story, but for the sake of not getting this video striked or demonetized, I'm not gonna say them. He would get right in my face and try his best to get a response from me, but I would just keep my head down and keep working. Even though I ignored him, he made me feel really crappy. I began hating going into work, and I started coming up with excuses for not coming in. I did this so often that HR had to have a meeting with me, and I was given an official warning. I was a shy, small guy and didn't have the confidence to say anything. This kept on going for months, and one day he went too far. I was working on a design for a product from my work laptop and left the factory for lunch. When I got back, he had deleted all my work files and replaced them with screenshots of gay pornography. The second I sat back down on my desk and noticed, Kevin ran up behind me and called everyone over to show them what I was supposedly looking at on my laptop. He pulled my arms behind my chair, holding me in a place, and everyone came over and started laughing at me. My boss even came over. My idiot boss believed Kevin, and I was given a warning letter about my work behavior and another official warning. I had had enough and plotted my revenge. The idea I came up with was to send Kevin a package and have him open it in front of everyone. You see, Kevin collected rare DVDs and would have them shipped to the company's address. He would then gather everyone around his desk to show them what he had bought, no matter what the package. So I told my mother my plan. She knew what Kevin had done to me at this point, and she was in. I went online and ordered some extremely embarrassing stuff. I had them sent to my mother. She lived on the other side of the country, and she would send them to my workplace in Kevin's name. I did this so the package would be stamped in a different city, making it look like it was ordered somewhere else. Anyway, the day came when the package arrived. Kevin announced for everyone to come over to see his new DVD. Everyone came over and watched as Kevin opened the box. I stood back as I knew what was coming. Kevin stuck his hand in the box and pulled out a huge pink mankini, the one Borat wore, and a ball gag. Kevin's face went sheet white. Then everyone burst out laughing. The whole staff were bent over in laughter, some dropping to the floor crying in laughter. The staff started saying stuff like, "Is that for your weekend, Kevin?" And "Is that for your other collection?" I was laughing so hard I couldn't breathe. Kevin ran out of the room and we all descended on the box. Besides the mankini and ball gag, there was a note. Now this was the cherry on top, all thanks to my mother. One of those office staff took out the note and read it aloud, and this is what it said. "Hello, Kevy Poo 69. Because you are one of our most loyal customers, we have decided to send you some free gifts to thank you for years of loyalty to our brand. We hope you enjoy them. All the best from the team at outofthecloset.com. Well, this just sent us all tumbling to the floor with laughter. I had no idea my mother would do that. Just typing it out now makes me laugh. After we all regained our composure, the head of HR came down and asked me to come up for a meeting. I entered one of the company meeting rooms and there was Kevin, the head of HR, my boss, and the director of the company. For the next hour, Kevin tried to convince them that I had sent him the package. I protested, saying the package was stamped on the other side of the country, so how could I have sent it? The head of HR asked Kevin why he thought I sent the package. He said, "Because I always call him a..." Then he stopped himself from saying the rest of the sentence. I turned to him and said, "Yeah, tell him what you always call me. Tell them the names you like to call me every day. Tell them how you single me out and bully me. Tell them about how you have putting me through hell since you got here." The room got quiet, and Kevin was told to leave while they have a chat with me. I proceeded to tell them about what Kevin was doing and how long it had gone on for. I told them about the names he had called me and what he had done with my laptop. When I was finished, they all thanked me for being honest, and they said they would investigate my claims further. I was asked one more time if I had sent the package. I said I didn't, and that it may have been a mate of mine because I had told my friends what had been going on. But it had nothing to do with me, and I had no say in it. So an investigation did happen. They found out that Kevin was indeed bullying me and other younger staff members and apprentices in the firm. He had been doing this since the day he started working there. So he was fired. Good. I don't feel any regret for what I did. He was a 50-year-old man that still acted as a child. If he can't grow up, then he can't work with adults. Years later on my last day of work, I was asked by the director of the company if I had indeed sent that package to Kevin. I just smiled, winked, and said, "Nope, but my mother didn't like Kevin very much." I can now say I am a confident, happy extrovert. I don't stand for any bullying behavior anymore and always stick up for myself and the people around me. As for Kevin, well, I hope he's improved his attitude and has grown up. And with that, my friends, too bad so sad, the video is over. If you liked it, make sure to check out some of our other stuff and maybe even subscribe. As always, my name's Ryan, the official host here at Reddit Voice, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next video.